Welcome to Home Dad Chat, brought to you by the National At Home Dad Network. My name is Brock,
My name is Danny.
and we are here to talk about life as stay at home dads. So sit back, relax, and enjoy the show.
No, I don't want much. I even love handmade crafts made of macaroni. Come on now, you should know me. Times I might eat too much. No worry about my weight. Got the dad bod rocking on me. Sketches on my feet. Cargo shorts look good on me. I'm a dad, that's what I do.
Hey, everybody, welcome back to the show. Hope you've had a great week. Danny and I, like everybody else, we're just canoeing down the same river, hoping it doesn't
Nice.
tip along the way. But other than that, things are good. The river has receded here in Cincinnati, so no more floods, thank goodness.
Right.
And
That,
the weather is actually starting to shape up into what looks more like spring. So, perfect time to get out and enjoy the weather and sort of detox the brain from all of the
yeah.
fog. It falls very
Yeah.
much into alignment with what we're going to be talking about today on the show. So, yeah, happy to be here. How about you, man? How's life?
Yeah. Life is good. Life is I was thinking about it this morning because we don't have any milk for my coffee. And I was very upset. And because I'm a milk and sugar kind of guy. It's got
Wait,
to be
you're in
creamy and sweet.
Wisconsin.
So
I thought everyone in
right.
Wisconsin owned a cow. You just go out there, milk, bam, you're good.
Well, it's a neighborhood cow, okay? We don't just get
Oh,
our
whoa, whoa,
own.
okay,
Yeah,
okay.
there's a but yeah, for my kids, I mean, we had a lot of cereal evidently over the last week or so, and went through 3 gallons of milk,
Holy cow.
and it's got to be 10 days now at most. And I'm like, what? And I got very upset, got very angry, and then I went, why? Why? I mean, come on. I can just go to the store right now and get another. I mean, there's an Aldi right there. It's 5 minutes away, 5 minutes back. I got more. I got milk for my coffee, and I live such a good life. I mean, I have so many good things going on in my life that I'm not going to let milk in my coffee
Yeah.
be the
I,
thing that stumbles me today.
I think many of us, even as much as there is like negative things like directly in front of us, looking at the whole picture, things are much better than maybe sometimes we perceive they
Hmm.
are. And it's one of those things where sometimes you got to step aside from what's directly in front of you and look around and realize like this is small in a
Yeah.
world of things that could be. So I completely understand that frustration. I've been there too, man. Like for me, it's more of a like I forgot to go to the store the night before and pick up a gallon of milk because they drank it all at dinner time, which is fine, whatever. But
Yeah.
like not having it for the kids in the morning, I'm like, dang it. And that's why I keep English muffins in the house.
Hmm. Yep. Always a good plan to have a backup of some kind of food that you know the kids will eat. Yeah, we
Right?
have a frozen pizza in the freezer always because there always happens there's something that goes on like Monday I could not get dinner on the table. We had too many things going on. I scheduled extra stuff at the library with one of my kids, and by the time it was done, it ran a little bit later than I thought it would, and I had to go straight to a second thing with him for scouts, and it was 8:30 before we got home. And we usually eat between 5 and 6, generally closer to five.
Yep.
And okay, I sent a text to my oldest kid. He's 15. He can handle it. I said, just put a pizza in the oven. I'd appreciate it. And done. And it was just preparing for those emergencies, being ready for the fact that you're going to run out of milk. What do you do?
Yep. Doesn't hurt to have a backup plan. That is for
Right.
sure.
Right.
So,
Some dry creamer. Just have some dry creamer, Danny. Why don't you have dry? It's like $1. And I don't have it because it's garbage food. It is the worst,
yes.
but I will
Oh,
use it. I will use it if dry. Well, but it's. And they sell it here in Wisconsin, which I was very happy to see. I did have a concern that they wouldn't allow it because it's not a dairy product, and I want to make sure that we keep all of our dairy in place.
yeah. No, you just when you purchase it, there's just an intercom of the cash register. We have a code red on 2.
2319, 2319. What?
2319.
What?
We need to find out if this guy is okay or not. He's
Yeah,
ordered some. You better have a good explanation for
you
this.
need to check on him. There's something
I
going
needed
on.
something to clean up my kid's vomit in the kitchen with.
Right? Yeah. Just gonna sprinkle it on there. It'll be fine. Yeah, yeah, it's
Exactly.
fine. But it works really well, I think, talking about our frustrations, right? And like not having milk, it's a frustration. It's okay to get upset about that. It really is. I'm not upset with myself that I got upset about it. But I did recognize my life's pretty good. I don't have to stress for too long on this. But it did bring up what we've talked about a lot on the show is having someone to share those frustrations with, to tell somebody this is what's stressing me, you know, and not necessarily needing a solution to it, not really going to somebody to try to fix it for you, but just to say, look, this crap happened. And to have a friend that says that is absolute crap. And that's it. And that's really as far as you need to go, you know?
Yeah. Yeah. No, definitely. I think that having somebody to be able to talk to about when things go sideways is you need that. I mean, that this falls in line with, what we've always talked about. You need a men's group and you need a mentor. And I think
Yeah.
you need to have close personal friends. I went to last week. We had a what we call men's advance instead of men's retreat because,
Oh, neat. Yeah.
as we say in our church, men do not retreat. We
Nice.
advance,
Yeah.
and so we had a 24-hour event where we went out, had a couple of different speakers. One of the speakers actually. So our church has got some interesting connections with Cincinnati sports.
Hmm.
With like we've got a couple of sports chaplains actually at the church,
Oh,
and
cool.
yeah, and so like one of them is a chaplain for UC football team, the other one is a chaplain for the Cincinnati Bengals,
Oh, wow.
and so I've heard
That's
those guys preach all the time. Like it's great, it's neat when they have these like one-off events because they'll bring in somebody that they know to like preach so that they can also enjoy the time as well, which I think is
nice.
super important because
Yeah.
I know just most ministers like, oh, I can do it, I can handle it, and we, at the men's ministry, especially, there is always just like, no, like, let's find somebody outside of our church that can come in and do this so
Hmm.
that you too can be ministered to.
That's very good.
Yeah. So they brought in the new wide receiver coach for the Bengals, who is actually is friends with the chaplain for the Bengals, and he came and talked, and it was awesome. But it was so good because from like a mental health standpoint to
Hmm.
just kind of get away from the normal rigmarole of things. And I honestly did not want to go. I
Oh,
I
really?
didn't I wasn't all that like pulled to be there. And like I got asked, Corey was like, "Are you gonna go?" And I was like, "I don't know. I'm not feeling this like I need to be there kind of deal." And she's like, "Well, I think you need to go." And I went, and it was good to get to connect with the guys that were there and just enjoy some of that time. And also too, like, I mean, there were parts of me that felt kind of distant while I was there, but at the same time too, like, I at one time, oh, I know what it was. Like the very first night, I was gonna basically pull away and just not be there, and I really felt this sense of like, no, like they're playing soccer. You enjoy playing soccer, like go change into what you need to get into and get out there and have fun and exert some energy.
Yeah.
And it's amazing that like exertion of energy in that form actually like really kind of brings your emotions, like brings your positive feelings up,
Hmm.
and
Yeah.
clears your head from all the other things that are fogging it up. And that's, I think that to me would be probably the first thing of advice I would tell somebody is to get active when you're feeling low,
Hmm.
because it is going to kind of cause, it's going to cause your body to produce these things. I'm not a scientific person, so don't even begin to say it, but it just,
Dopamine.
there it is, dopamine. Yeah, see, I couldn't think of what it was. That's, yeah, but that's the thing. Like it produces that, and so then you're starting to just kind of can come out of some of that funk, and
Yeah.
also too, like maybe even speak a little bit clearly about it. I think for me, like that was one of the things, like after that, I was able to kind of talk a little more freely about how I was feeling.
Hmm.
So yeah.
Yeah.
So it was good. It was good from that standpoint. I
And
needed it.
that's good science. I mean, it really is. I think I heard it first from, if you remember Tony Robbins, he was a big, self-improvement, self-help kind of
Yep.
guru, for lack of a better. And one of his things was emotion is created by motion, right? And I didn't really get that myself as much because I'm just an emotional person. Emotion is just where I'm at. That's how I move, right? I move with my heart and not my brain, not my body. They're always secondary. Definitely not my brain. Maybe it's third. But the understanding that, yeah, when we start moving, it generally, for most people, it does things for us. It changes us chemically. It will reduce your, what is it, cortisol, which is the stress hormone. And it'll raise your dopamine, it'll raise your serotonin. Dopamine just makes you feel good, and then serotonin is the one that kind of lets you handle stress. Like, yes, I am stressed, but I'm out of milk. It's not a big deal, right? I can handle
Right.
this. I'm not going to lose my mind. I'm not going to, as my saintly mother, who I miss her dearly, chased my younger brother around the kitchen and living room with an empty milk carton because he drank all the milk and she couldn't have it for her coffee. And I remember that distinctly this morning because I'm like, huh, I guess I'm glad the kids have already recycled the milk carton because I would definitely be chasing a kid around with one right now. No, I would not. I was not that upset. But that understanding that those chemicals that hit you and they need to be in that balance, and that exercise and moving, whatever it might be. And, we have, I mean, especially as growing up in the 80s, where it was the big aerobics thing, and this is how you have to work out, and this is what you have to do, and this is what a workout means. And no, it's just motion. It's moving. Like if you want to dance, if you want to hike, if you want to swim, if you want to, whatever it is, it doesn't have to be a scheduled set of, I'm going to do 10 hammer curls and then I'm going to switch to triceps and then I'm going to go back to shoulders. And then, no, no, no. It can be, but it could just be getting out there and kicking the ball around with your friends in a game of soccer, you know?
Yeah. I mean, I love the fact that we live in an era where, you can go take a 3 mile walk with your dog and also be on the phone with a close friend talking
Yeah.
about what's going on, and they could be all the way across the United States and or whatever. And so
Yeah.
that to me is, such an amazing just feat that we don't really we take it for granted basically because
Yeah. I
you
believe so.
back in the day you wouldn't have had any of that, and you probably wouldn't have felt comfortable for the most part talking to people about it depending on what it was. I know, like
Hmm.
I remember talking to my grandfather one time about just, I think it was something along the lines of coming across a family member who was like they were having an argument or something along those lines,
Hmm.
and he felt like he should do something, but at the same time, he knew that if he did do something, he'd actually be stepping over the line. Like just to come in and be like, "Hey, hey, like it's okay," like just trying to like calm the situation down. And I think that in nowadays, like maybe you still wouldn't do it exactly like that, but that there is other avenues for being able to sort of decompress
Hmm.
out of a tense situation that you otherwise wouldn't have had back then.
Yeah. Yeah, and it's a big change in how we looked at it because and we'll probably get into this too, but May is Mental Health Awareness Month. And having an awareness of your mental health is very important because for the longest time, especially men, and this is still kind of an issue, we weren't given any place where we could show our emotions. And again, we've talked about this probably 100 times, but that vulnerability was just weakness, right? So if you go to, and a lot of times we'll go to our partner, and there are so many stories of men who've been to the women in their life, and the women in their life go, "Pfft, suck it up. You need to be stronger than this. You can't, don't tell me this stuff. Just be a man." And putting all of that into just a small little box, we look at it now where there's so much heart disease, and has been for a while, and that men are 4 times more likely to be killed by suicide than women. You know, and there's all of this thing just rolling around what it is, all of that stigma about mental health with men that it's just terrible, really. but it's so beneficial to have someone to talk to,
Yeah.
just to go. And again, it can be, well, with Dad's Got to Talk, we have multiple support groups throughout the week, right? And they're pretty well attended, and they've been going for years, and it seems to be very beneficial for people, definitely beneficial for me. But a lot of people don't understand that it's just sometimes just getting in and just sharing, again, those frustrations. My kids did this, my partner did this. This is, what happened at, when I went to the school drop off or whatever it might be. And just finding a place where you can go to people that understand you and one, be able to get that understanding, which is very important. But two, to be able to say things that are bothering you and have people understand, because a lot of times the things that bother us, I'm out of milk again. So what? Were you angry about being out of milk? It's fine. Go get some milk, or just skip it. You don't need milk in your coffee. I can drink black coffee. I won't enjoy it as much. Suck it up, right? But that's not what it is. It's coming to people and going, "This is bothering me." And those people saying, "I understand that bothers you." And that's it. That's all you need. And a lot of times that's what support groups are, especially the ones that we run. Just finding that stress, whatever it is. And again, I mean, we do have people like myself who have serious, chronic mental health issues, mental illness, even. And yeah, and that's a part of it too. But just finding some place where you can go and tell somebody that I don't know, your kid lost your car keys. I mean, how frustrating is that? I found my car keys in my kid's diaper. What? How did that happen? Right? And just being and right, and just being able to share that without
Wow, that's a really
judgment.
shitty
Yeah,
situation, by the way.
it is. It is indeed. Well
Sorry,
done.
I couldn't let
Well
that
done.
dad joke
No, why
pass.
would you? Oh yeah. You're not a dad, I think, if you let that one pass. I might have judged
That
you.
was a ball on a string just swinging. It was just
Right? Just a
waiting
grapefruit
for it.
hanging there. Go ahead, hit it, man. It's right there.
Oh my gosh. But yeah, no, definitely. I think that very much having those supports is important for sure.
Hmm.
So I think that too, you mentioned the fact of like sort of like sucking it up and that kind of thing. And honestly, I think if you look at past experiences of people who have either been told that or feel that that's what they have to do, all that is that's a whole bottling up thing. It's like you're just smushing
Yeah.
it down, and eventually it's going to erupt, and it's just not good. Like
Hmm.
it's either going to cause 1,000 more issues to come forward from the explosion of it all, or it's going to ultimately cause somebody to possibly take their life because they just don't feel like they have anywhere to expel it.
Yeah.
And that's the other kind of big thing. And I guess that's the thing that surprises me with when you do have people who are saying that, suck it up. And it's like, are you completely socially blind to the fact that when you do that, like you're just actually you're causing more of the problem by saying that to a
Right.
person. And that is that's probably for me like the toughest thing, because if there's one thing that I never want someone to feel is that they have to bottle it up and move on. Like
Hmm.
um, I mean, there is definitely a place for like compartmentalizing so that you can
Yes.
actually deal with it later. Like that
Yeah.
makes sense. But to just be like, suck it up, buttercup, and
Yeah.
move on and it never get addressed. And then it just be this thing that traumatically pops up from time to time, which basically turns into
Right.
PTSD. And it's like,
Yeah.
because you did not take any time to take care of it at all. And that is probably one of the biggest things, like with the National At Home Dad Network group and all the other dad groups and things that I'm in. You see so many dads comment about all kinds of different issues. And one, I'm like, I'm so glad you're like, this person is willing to share what's going on. Two, it's like I have my first thought is, okay, I hope people that respond are responding in a way that is positive, but also kind of a tough love situation, depending on what it is. Like, so because there's like, I mean, it is
Hmm.
a very fine line to walk, but it's like, when someone tells you what's going on, it's like, hey, like, yeah, I've felt that way before. This is what I've done with it. Or, hey, come on, you gotta look for the positive in this so that you can
Right.
like, and that's not easy for people to hear sometimes. Um,
Yeah.
I
Yeah.
there that's probably the biggest thing is, saying it and be like, this person probably doesn't want to hear that, but at some point it's gonna break through for them.
Hmm. Yeah, I agree. And with the understanding, like you said, there are times when you need to control your emotions. Absolutely. You need to set them aside. You need to handle the situation or whatever. If, and I think this is unfortunate, but for me, it's grief. There's when you lose someone, and if it's a parent, grandparent, child, whoever it might be, um, we're not really taught how to deal with grief, how to show grief, what grief means, what's going to happen to us, right? And in that moment, we shouldn't expect people, right, to be able to handle their emotions. Their emotions are going to be bigger than they've ever been in their life, probably.
Yeah.
But at the same time, as the individual handling it, I'm very, very grateful for my younger brother. He stepped up when my mom passed away, and he handled all the arrangements and everything. And no one asked him that I know of. He just did it. And I certainly wasn't going to fight him for that, that place, that job. And neither was my older brother. If he was doing it, we were fine with it. And he took all of his emotions and just set them aside and said, I will deal with that later. But that's the point of it, is I will deal with that later. And you will, whether you plan on it or you don't, it's going to come back up. Like you said, it'll erupt later. It'll be something completely inconsequential. This has nothing to do with anything. I'm out of milk, and you just snap. You lose your mind. You lose your control because those emotions aren't going away. They're waiting. Just okay. You want to wait till later? Okay. Well, we waited as long as we can. This balloon is blown as high as it can get and big as it can get, and pop. Here we are. Now we have
Yeah.
emotions all over the place. Good job.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know if I told you about what happened a couple weeks ago when my folks were in town or not.
I don't know.
But basically, like, we went to so this was a lot of bottled up emotions that erupted in a very public way. So what happened is we went to a Reds game, and it was me and my family plus my mom and dad, and it was all set to be a great day. Everything was going well, and I had walked away for a moment to go get some drinks and things. And when I came back, as I was walking back, I got a text message that said that my dad had apparently said something to Corey that she was very offended by. And when I got back, addressed it with my dad, and he kind of brushed it off. And I lost my proverbial shit, like,
Hmm.
in public, on him, to to a degree that uh, was very unhealthy. And I basically got to a point where I was able to have just a very small, minuscule moment of clarity, and I about faced and walked away, because I wasn't sure what I was going to do next, but it
Hmm.
was going down a really, like, bad path.
Hmm.
Um, and then I took some time up to just kind of clear my head. Like, Corey came up and stood with me for a while, but it was just a ton of bottled up emotions
Yeah.
that it was a series of things over a very long period of time, and I had just had enough. And I, you know, picked the wrong time, but it was like, you bottle it up so long, you don't get to pick the time. It
Right.
just happens, and that's basically what took place. We are in a better spot, or not in a better. We were able to come to terms, apologize, and continue, moving on or whatever.
Yeah.
Um, Even my dad apologized for, his actions and things. So we were definitely able to come to a at least a situation in which the relationship was not ruptured, but um
Awesome.
yeah, but it was crazy, and my kids were there, they witnessed it. But we've had time to talk with them too about just the fact that, you know, if you don't talk to people about what's going on and you continue to just push down how you're feeling about it, it has the potential to just blow up. And that's exactly what happened in that
Hmm.
situation. And yeah, I mean, I'm still running it through my head sometimes because I feel awful that just the way that it happened. Um,
Yeah.
but it's just it's not a normal situation for me.
Hmm.
Uh, and so I think that's why like there's just a little bit of like shame involved in it, and I'm working through it,
Good.
definitely.
Good.
But um, yeah, man, I tell you that was that was just one of those like I would have come up with a better way if I actually would have just like sat down and kind of thought it out. I think part of it
Right.
too is I had compartmentalized it so much that it was like bottled up and compartmentalized at the same time. And I was just like, it's not going to get that bad. Like, we can get through this type of thing. And then, like I said, it was just a complete dumpster fire that just erupted.
Yeah. Yeah. And that's exactly what happens. I mean, that's exactly it. Is we sit on it, we just hold it, and a lot of times we have. It's not just like the thought that we can't show it or we're not allowed to show it, but this isn't the time, or it's not a big deal, or for me, it's I don't want to upset the other person. If I have an issue with Marnie, the last thing I want to do in my world is to make her upset or make her cry. I've done it before. I'll do it again. I'm not saying like I want to, but it's a part of our interactions because I am an incredibly emotional person, and she's very cerebral. And when I dump my emotions on her, she's not. If I'm not careful, she's not ready for it. She's not
Yeah.
prepared for how much emotion I'm going to have. We've literally had the conversation that she has to be high to understand what my emotions are like on a daily basis. I mean, that's the truth of it. And it's just hilarious because I'm like, "Yes, this is how I am all the time. Now you get it." And she doesn't but the reality of it is, and you'll talk if you want, we can get a psychologist on here to prove this point, but um we're not responsible for other people's emotions,
Right.
right?
Exactly. Yeah.
And we're not, but we do want to be nice. We want to be kind. We want to be patient. We want to be all the things. And we don't want to be out, just offending people to try to see if we can affect their emotions. But the reality of it is if we're having an issue, we have something going on, and it's going to upset our partner, we have to either somehow fix that to where it doesn't bother us anymore, not just push it down, but like, okay, she drank all the milk. It happens. I'll just have more milk. I'll just make sure we have more milk coming in. I'll just plan for it. And we're good, right? So you either find a way around it or you go to the person and say, look, I don't mean to upset you. Try to be as kind about it as you can, but you say, but this is something that happens that you do all the time. And it's
Yeah.
bothering me. And I need
That's
you, to understand without, you know, you only not as much concern that you're going to create emotions in them, whatever they might be.
Yeah, and that is what basically should have happened, in a way, was the whole thing. I think the trigger point for that situation was that after it happened and Corey addressed it with my dad, his response was, "Oh, I was just joking. Like, can't you take a joke?" And I was like, that was it. That was the
How
straw.
about a nice
And
Hawaiian punch, Dad? Huh?
uh-huh, yeah, pretty much. But just that oh, I was just joking is such a junior high type childish thing to say instead of
Yeah.
just being like, "Oh, I'm sorry that I
Well, you can
offended
even
you."
say, I'm sorry. I was trying to be funny. I was trying to make a joke. I didn't mean to offend you, and I apologize that I did. That works, I think.
Right? Yeah.
But
I
the
mean,
whole
taking
blowing it off as, oh, I'm just joking. You can't be offended at that. What?
yeah,
Screw
or you
you,
can't take it,
bud.
or yeah, you just can't take a joke, you know,
Yep.
that
No,
side of it. Like, no,
no, no,
no,
that's
that doesn't
not
work
it.
that way. So that was the basically what the conversation was around after things
Yeah.
cooled down, and like I said, it definitely moved on from there. So
Well, good for you. Good for
yeah,
you. That and
but
we all have these moments, man. We
hmm
all do. I guarantee your dad and mom have had them, where you just pop. You just pop. And then you make reparations as necessary. And again, you teach your kids, which I think is another great thing we need to point out, is that you go to your children and say, look, this is how I responded. This is probably why I responded. It's not how I want to respond. It's not how
yeah.
I meant to respond. It was just a response, and I want to do better. And
Well,
if it
and
was to them, apologize. Go ahead.
no, and we actually have, tried to tell the kids, like, hey, like take things head on, like, as far as when it comes to addressing a situation, don't try to let it pass by so that way it can be dealt with. And two, like Corey comes from a background where when things got rough, like certain people in the family would just peace out and
Yeah.
go like, all right, fine, I'm out, and like would leave. You didn't know when that person was coming back, and this was before cell phones and stuff too. So that
Yeah.
caused all kinds of trauma, and that was one of the things when Corey and I were dating that we basically said that we were going to try our darndest not to do, and try not to say things like we one of our big things was that I dealt with the first year we were married was like we'd get into an argument like, well, fine, well, maybe we shouldn't be married anymore type of deal, and it's like that was
Right.
just not fighting fair. And we went through counseling for that to
Oh,
talk
good.
about that and get that situated, after we had been married, because like the first year of marriage is super difficult, because you're now living with this person that you've only been dating type of thing. And so if you haven't been living with them for a long period of time, like you don't know all their quirks and
Hmm.
and little things. So
Well,
um
and you don't know your own
oh
either.
yeah, no.
I
Yeah.
mean, that's such, I keep looking at it and I'm thinking, wow, I had no idea what I was doing. I was doing this the whole time and I didn't recognize it. And like you said, with for me, it's the abandonment issues where I would place it is the expectation that, okay, we get mad and you leave. Well, okay, that's what's going to happen then. And I have done it with Marnie for, well, we've been married 20 years today. So I've been doing it for at least 20 years where I expect she's going to just get sick of me because I'm a piece of crap and leave and just either hurt me or leave. And I'm just like waiting for it. And it's never going to happen. It's not something that has any basis in reality. I mean, there's no way she would leave me. Come on, I'm a gift. How could she? Right. But no, the reality of it is she loves me that much is, and it just, she will put up and has put up with all my little quirks and my learning and my growing and my figuring out, oh yeah, that's a me thing. Absolutely. Yeah. Sorry. I just assumed it was you because that's what my, family taught me or whatever. But all that learning, all those things that you have to get yourself through, you
Yeah.
know,
No,
very
definitely.
important.
Well, congratulations to 20 years.
Oh, thank you.
That in itself is honestly quite a feat. A lot of marriages nowadays are not quite even making it to that point. So
Yeah.
that's
Yeah.
awesome. I think too there's something to be said about longevity of a marriage, and also too about like, in a situation like you're talking about where for a fact like, hey, like we're not getting divorced, like we're gonna work this through, we're fighting for this, like,
Yeah.
which every day is that way, every day is a fight, like you, as far as it's a battle, like you gotta you know continue
Yeah.
working towards it. And so if you're gonna be in that camp of we don't have a plan B, like this is our plan, we're sticking
Hmm.
to it through
Yeah.
thick
This
and
is it no
thin.
matter what. Yeah.
Exactly. So
I gave her
I,
one of the bullets because she was a cop, and I gave her a bullet, and I said, "Just want you to know, you're not getting out of this relationship alive." No, I didn't do that actually.
I
A
do
friend
it.
of mine did that to his wife, and I thought it was great. And I told Marnie that, and I said, "You're not getting out of this relationship alive. You understand that, right?" She's like, and her. It's funny because her family didn't quite get it as a
Oh
joke.
no.
Like,
Oh no.
Danny's a little crazy. Is he going to kill you? No, no. He just means till death do us part.
Think about the
And
metaphor here.
yeah,
Yeah.
as what death that might be, but yeah, but Marnie and I have a very open and honest relationship in a lot of ways. We still
Yeah.
struggle like anybody does, but again, it comes back to those little frustrations, those little stresses, whatever it might be. And there's a meme that's been around for probably been 20 years, because I remember showing it to Marnie very early, that it says, until I was married, I didn't know there was a wrong way to put milk in the fridge.
Yes.
And I love that one because it maybe not be the milk, but it might be how you, like anything, how you close the car door. I mean, just the stupidest little things. The toothpaste thing. If you ever remember when they used to have a screw-on caps, and that was the big one. Well, they don't put the cap back on the toothpaste. What a monster! And granted, they're little tiny things, but if you don't discuss them, if you don't address them, if you don't say, "Look, this is what you're doing, and it stresses me out," you know,
Yep.
and a lot of times with our partners, we kind of hold back because we don't want to offend them. We don't want to upset them. Or for some relationships, we don't know how we're going to be, what response we're going to get. There may be a lot of judgment in that. There are still a
Yep.
lot of people that expect men to just shut up and take it, you know?
Hmm.
And if you don't know what you're going to get from your partner, maybe you don't talk about those things. Maybe you're not open about that. I know there are things that I need to talk to Marnie about that I'm not talking to her about, and it'll be a while before I will. Nothing huge, nothing major, but just little things. As an example, we discussed what we expected for our anniversary. And we've been talking about it a couple times, and we just kind of messaged back and forth. We haven't really sat down together. And I said, I don't really expect anything. We went to Germany last year, and I felt that was kind of our big celebration. We're going to go to dinner anyway to celebrate her, campaign and getting on the school board and all that. So let's just make that kind of our thing. No, I don't need a card. I don't need a gift. And basically, me saying that means I'm not going to get you a card or a gift unless you tell me, well, that's what I do want. And she didn't. And I get up this morning, and we have been lusting after this giant set of wind chimes. All right. Now it's the big, like 3 foot long, 4 inch diameter
Oh, those are
bong,
big. Those
with
are
just,
big wind chimes.
yeah,
Okay.
just huge ones, right? And they've got that very deep, resonant, and I love that song, that sound. And I'm just like, yes. And every time we go to it's at the little plant store over here. Every time, or grower center, excuse me, not a plant store, the grower center. I go over and I'm like, and I just thump it one time and let it ring, and then I stop it. I'm like, because I don't want, make that much noise.
Just go buy
And
it. It's your 20-year wind chime.
she did.
Good.
She went and bought it, and it's up there on the counter, and there was a nice little card and everything. And I'm like, cool, cool, cool. But that's not what we talked about. You understand? And I'm not going to feel bad if we said we're not getting each other gifts and I don't
Yeah.
get you a gift. You said we weren't. That's my autism speaking. We said we weren't. That was the established thing. There's no, I actually
I'm
meant,
guilty of that. I'm guilty of that.
yeah.
Because so Corey and I are going on a cruise in a couple of
Yeah,
weeks
yeah.
for celebrating turning 40, 45, and our 18th wedding anniversary.
Oh, yeah.
And so we had said, "Oh yeah, we're not doing any gifts or whatever." But it's her 40th, okay? Like I and she doesn't like attention. So I was
Hmm.
like, "All right, I got to be cerebral about this. Like what I want to do something." And she loves like house plants and all those kind of things. And so I just put out a thing to like family and friends that said,
Hmm.
"Hey, Corey's biggest love language is words of affirmation. And if you felt so inclined, send her a card. That would be awesome." I go, the other thing to this is I really want to try to get her a greenhouse
Hmm.
that she can be able to go sit out in. And
Nice.
I found one. It's not too badly priced, and I think that it would be really cool if anybody wants to. to donate to it. So like I put out, I think I was like, $40 for 40 years kind of thing, and you can just like
Yeah.
send it to me or whatever. And I've gotten quite a few people that have sent in that and even cards and things like that. So her birthday is coming up here in just a few days, actually. And so
Hmm.
she does, and that's why I can talk about it now because
Yeah.
like it'll already have taken place. But basically, yeah, like my hope is that I can get this greenhouse for her, and basically anybody that like helps contribute to it, I'm going to take a photo of them and put it in a picture frame, like and do like a collage that'll get
Oh,
hung in the
neat.
greenhouse for her.
Nice.
So, but yeah, like she's always just wanted a space where she could just go and just read a book or, just get away
Hmm.
from the things. And so like that's mental health for her. Like
Right.
she loves that kind of thing. And so I was like, all right, like getting her her own little space would be just such a huge thing for
I
her,
mean, can you
especially with
imagine? Yeah.
yeah,
Yeah.
especially with all the like just the stresses that she deals with her high
Hmm.
impact job and stuff. So
Yeah. Yeah.
so yeah, so I didn't follow the rules when she was like, I don't want anything. I'm like, hey, I'm not throwing a party for you. I'm
Yeah.
just come up with a different way to make this happen.
Well, speaking as the spouse that received a gift today, and we said no gifts. I'm just going to say, don't do that, man. Come on, get together.
Too late.
Because
It's already
the
done.
thing is too is I have not opened it. I opened the card, and we're very big about writing to each other, and it was very nice. The chimes are sitting there, and I'm like, okay, if I open this box, I've got to go put this thing up, right? Because what else am I going to do with it? I can't like leave it here. Once I open it, it's got to be put up. I mean, there's just no, you can't just like set it on the counter or something. So I don't want to make that commitment because it's 33 now, just barely warmed up. And I don't want to be outside trying to hang giant wind chimes when it's technically very cold and still kind of, well, it's winter here. I know it's supposed to be spring, but it just feels like winter. And I'm looking at it, I'm like, and I got a little, I got angry, got a little angry, just
Oh,
a little frustrated because we said no, we're not going to do this, and I don't. But that's me, not her. Let me make this very very important distinction. I don't like buying stuff for myself. I don't like other people buying me things. I don't. I love getting things. I love having things in another way. It's very much a dichotomy. But if I say I don't want something, for me personally, I'm not saying this is the way Corey is, it upset me. I looked at it and I'm like, well, of course you did it when we said we weren't going to do it because she's done that. Well, it's 20 years now. So she's done it a lot, but she loves to give gifts. It's not
yep.
necessarily her top love language, but it's probably up in like the third. And she just wants me to have things. She wants to give me things. She wants, when I see something I like, she wants to give me that thing. And I can't fault her for that. I mean, that's just how she shows love, you
Yeah.
know? But again, no milk in my coffee. So I technically have not had more than 2 swallows of coffee today. And I'm just going to say, maybe this wasn't the morning to push a gift on me.
Oh man.
Psychology, man, it's great.
Yeah, I
Great.
hear
That's why
you.
we have support groups because Danny's a nut.
It's okay. It's all right. You're not that hard of a nut to crack.
Yeah, we can hope.
With May coming up and being mental health awareness, I know you had put a thing on the Facebook group trying to see if
Yeah,
anybody
yeah, yeah.
shares stories or whatever. I hope some people do that because like it'd be great to be able to share those. Maybe we get somebody on the show as well. That would be
Hmm.
cool. I think there's definitely lots of room for that. But the main thing is getting connected with somebody that you can share what's going on.
Yeah,
And so hopefully that this conversation kind of pushes somebody to get to that point because we don't need anybody suffering in silence
right.
over things that they could
That's
be just getting out and talking
right.
about.
That's not what it means to be a man.
No,
It's not.
not at all.
It's not.
No, that is
A man can be
l-
vulnerable and still understand that he's strong, and we expect that to be the new mantra, other than the strong and silent type. You know.
Yeah.
You can be vulnerable. You can be hurt, and it's okay because you get back up, and that's the important thing.
Definitely. Hopefully we hear from more people on that. But hopefully if you're listening to this and you're just struggling with it, realize that there are plenty of us out there to reach out to and talk with and give you that time and space that you need to get to a better place and
Hmm.
work on the healing side of it. So this has just been a really good conversation, and I'm glad that we got to talk about it. It's nice to be able to get a lot of that stuff off your chest and out of your head, so that the rent-free things are gone.
Yep.
I look forward to talking to y'all again next week, and hope you have a good one.
Good night, everybody.
I'm a dad, that's what I do.